Peace, family. This video right here is about existence classification and zodiac seasonal change. Now, with that being said, this video is in direct correlation with my latest video that I just posted. I believe it was called hyperdimensional being perception. So with that being said, I've been walking y'all through the farewell universities and through my latest videos and how your being is being altered, right? Through different density levels of light exposure. So right here, we're going to break down, right, how environments change predicated upon seasonal shifts within the zodiac equinoxes, and how this classifies different levels of your being. I touched on this in my last video, but I'm going to go more into depth. So with that being said, family, let's jump right into this, right? So you have 4 seasons, right? Summer, okay, fall, winter, spring. They say it started at spring, but the first day of the new year is actually July 23rd. And so with that being said, it starts in summer. It shouldn't even be January 1st. They got the calendar fucked up. But with that being said, we're going to go with the traditional calendar. Let's say, you know, spring, summer, fall, winter, right? 4 seasons, right? You have 4 different environmental frequencies that you can exist within, predicated upon the location you are around a star, aka the sun, right? Now, why is it important? Temperature, right? Temperature determines the season. If you look up the etymology of the word temperature, you'll see it's linked back to the Latin word temporare, which means state of being. So the state of being in your environment is predicated upon how much light density your environment is being exposed to. So a sun is a star. A zodiac constellation is a group of stars, okay, a group of suns. Some big, some small. So they have different density frequencies that they generate predicated upon how much light photons they emit on whatever solar system is traveling through their body, through that specific zodiac house body. So with that being said, family, right? You have 12 zodiac signs, right? Split up in 4 different divisions of 3, okay? Virgo being on the right and Aries being on the left. So with that being said, each 3 zodiac signs has a different frequency that determines, let's say, a seasonal environment globally for whatever solar system is traveling through. Now, we're going to deal with our solar system and our planet. So we traveling through, let's say, I want to say Gemini, Taurus, Aries, if I'm getting them correct, right? Gemini, Taurus, Aries, that's a specific frequency. And then if we go to Pisces, Aquarius, and then that which comes after Aquarius, then that's a different frequency. And then so on and so forth. So when you get a zodiac wheel, when you look at it, you split it in 4, you see it's 3, 3, 3, 3. Now every 3 different zodiac houses are a group of suns that emit a certain light density. And just like in the wintertime, you know, if light is at a higher frequency, if light is at a lower frequency, you get snow. If it's at a mid state, you get fall. When it's coming out of that mid state, you can have something such as spring, or where it's a little warmer. When it's at a higher frequency, you get summer. So that being said, each zodiac sign emits its own atmospheric frequency. So now, why is this important? When we're talking about being classification or existence classification, everything on the zodiac wheel becomes reclassified every 6,000 years. So it takes us approximately 25,920 years to travel the zodiac sign. But we're going to round that off to, let's just say the zodiac is approximately, let's say, 24,000 years, right? Okay? 6, 12, 18, 24, right? Every 6,000 years, right, we move through 3 zodiac signs, approximately. That's approximate. So it takes us 2,160 years to travel through a zodiac house. We're just going to say 2,000 to round it off. So every 3 zodiac houses is 6,000 years. So every 6,000 years, the frequency of the planet changes. So when you look at the ice age, or when shit gets to melting, or when shit gets to getting cold, okay, when you study history, all of these environmental let's say realms, all happen within specific zodiac sign. So when you research, okay, the ice age was this many thousands of years ago, when you track that back where we were on a zodiac sign, even if you go further back in history with dinosaurs, any time where the world was made mostly of ice, it always can be retraced and calculated back in that specific zodiac house. So now, why is it important? Just like on Earth, you get 4 seasons. Just intergalactically, you get 4 seasons. So the beings have to be metamorphed, okay? The beings have to be metamorphed into a biological state to which they can exist successfully within that season. So I just did a video called Intergalactic Light Evolution. Go watch it. Then come back to this and you'll fully have an understanding of what I'm saying. When you're dealing with Kemet, right? You have the 32 Netras, they say, right? The Egyptian deities, the Egyptian gods. Now they say these 32 Egyptian gods were not actually people, but principalities which embody different aspects of a person's soul. So these 32 Egyptian gods allegedly make up a person. Now when you see the sun, okay, inside of, let's say, to keep it plain and simple for people who don't deal with the science, you see the horns on the head of the female deities that represent fertilization, right? Actually, when you see the orb, it's not a sun at all times. At times, it's an egg, right? And the 32 Netras, when you see them traveling along the Egyptian wall, because the symbols and the stories on the Kemetic walls are astrological. They are telling you stories of African people and their experiences over ages, and by ages I mean millenniums, thousands of years, okay? And that was documented intergalactic history, not common updated knowledge, okay? So that being said, we have to reconstruct our understanding of what the civilization of Egypt really was. But coming back to the point, when you see the 32 Netras traveling, they always travel in 90-degree intervals, right? They will either go straight, they either go straight to the right, straight to the left, straight up, or straight down. They don't go 45 degrees and all of that. Now, why is it important? You even see some of them making 90-degree angle turns. Now, this was symbolic to your being, right? To your genetic material. Remember, at times, it was not a sun. It was an egg. Because you come from the ovate sac of a black woman. So that being said, when we dealing with the woman's womb, the which is the womb and the uterus, and you're dealing with the egg, okay, on the top of the female deities in Kemet, and you're dealing with the 32 Netras, it was symbolic to the genetic material and metamorphosis of all biological life predicated upon their exposure to sunlight. So when you study Egypt and you see the end of the sun rays, you always see unks, right? And I did a video called Unky on my channel. Go watch it, and I break the science of that down. So I'm not gonna go into it now. But with that being said, the 90-degree turns of the Netras was symbolic to the fact that who you are spiritually has always been here, and is converted and established within a different biological form predicated upon which zodiac house you're in. So every 3 zodiac houses, you have traveled 90 degrees. Every three zodiac signs, you travel 90 degrees around the zodiac wheel. Every 90 goddamn days is a new season. It takes a woman 9 months to conceive a child. 9 is the number of born. 9 is a numerological number, which means creation. 1.618, the Fibonacci sequence. I said it before, I'm going to say it again. The golden ratio, spiral, is a 9. Everything in life has a mathematical balance that's natural of 1.618, which is the natural number of being manifested into existence, is a 9. Your chakras, being conscious, being physically present, your chakras spiral out of the front of you and the Fibonacci sequence of 1.618, aka a 9. So the Egyptian Netras were telling the story of how your soul is not only eternal, but it reestablishes itself in order to reincarnate and re-exist in different physical forms. So the egg within the horns, okay, on the top of the Egyptian deity's head, leading the 32 Netras, was symbolic to the different forms of manifestation you can physically take while being eternally present at all times. So we know one of the laws of the universe is if you exist, you have always existed. And the story of the Egyptian Netras was telling that story. The fact that not only have the 32 principalities of your own spirit always exist, they constantly take different physical forms every 90 degrees around the zodiac wheel, okay? And you have a different physical appearance. Now we know this by understanding that not only did the Egyptians, before what they call pre-dynastic Egypt, establish the astrological system called the Naphtaliya, okay? We know they studied the constellations not just through the specific geographical locations of their structures, but due to the fact that we found what is known as the Wheel of Dendora, but also what they say the Greeks allegedly translated and stole from Egypt called the Hermes Trismegister. Now the Hermes Trismegister was allegedly a plagiarization of the 3 original teachings of Egypt, which was astrology, Okay, alchemy and theurgy. So astrology was the primary teaching of our ancestors. So that being said, do not be ignorant to the sciences of the true African spirit. Now coming back to my point, what does this have to do with existence classification? Because depending upon what 3 zodiac houses you are in or experiencing, or what 90-degree octave of light, frequency, and sound you are experiencing as a being, determines not only your physical form and the environment you live in, whether the earth is going to be an ice age for the next 6,000 years, whether it's going to be hot for the next 6,000. Like right now, we're entering into the Aquarian age, and we're finna have a hot ass environment for the next 6,000 years. So that being said, all beings on the planet must metamorph. And all unnatural beings become eradicated by the sun because they do not have the genetic material needed to naturally download the light-coded information to activate the natural mutations that take place within their genes. So now why is this important? What happens is they go what you call extinct. Duh! So extinction happens 2 ways, naturally or unnaturally. For example, Europeans are what seems to be naturally going extinct, but really they're unnaturally going extinct because they're unnatural entities. So as a natural phenomena is happening globally, they do not have the natural genetic material needed to naturally mutate genetically to become a new bioorganism to accept the offering of this new life for the next 6,000 years to which their soul could potentially experience. So they're dying from what you call sun cancer, and we're downloading light codes from that same sun. So that being said, when you look at animals, oh, this animal went extinct 6,000 years ago. No, it didn't. It either metamorphed into a new form of its own self, or if it was genetically engineered, then it went extinct. So that being said, why have African people never been fucking extinct? Why? When Pangea was here, and it was an entire continent, an entire tectonic plate, right? That broke apart. I'm pretty sure that caused earthquakes. Why we ain't extinct? Ice age. Why we ain't extinct? Volcano eruptions. Globally, we know volcanoes erupted due to all the beaches and all of the sand we got all on the earth and all of the goddamn iron and nickel and all of these minerals. All the diamonds Africa got, all the minerals Africa got, a volcano eruption had to take place over there sometime. Why we ain't extinct? Why have African people been here for all natural disasters on the planet? We've been here for hurricanes, tsunamis, motherfucking tornadoes, earthquakes, tectonic plate shift. We can prove that India used to be connected to Africa 50 million years ago. It broke away 25 million years off of the 50 million, and then it took it another 25 to travel and connect to where it is today, known as India. So India used to be actually connected to South Africa. Guess what? Niggas was on that. So the whole time it was allegedly floating over to where it is today, Africans was on it. So why they not extinct? So that being said, you have to understand the lies of the evolution theory. The evolution theory, right, is a Masonic teaching, right, which globally hides the fact that you do evolve naturally predicated upon your exposure to cymatic frequency, aka how light and sound interacts with and upgrades your DNA naturally. Okay, that 98% of junk DNA that we just had that has no use. You coming from a monkey is the flip side. That's the trick coin. You do not come from no monkey. That is a science used by all non-Africans to hide their original origins, which is the fact that they were genetically manufactured. And I have an entire lecture called Genetic Reincarnation that's going to be available on my website in 2 days. TheBlackWomanIsGod.1. I'll put the description in the link. So go on my Instagram, Pharaoh_Live. You're going to see me post the flyer for it. Y'all can go on there and grab it. I went ham. So that being said, I show step by step how each race was genetically engineered. We ain't just running our mouth. I'm showing you. Okay? So that being said, outside of that, what y'all got to understand is, when we talking about, once again, existence classification, once you take on a new bioform, you become classified at a certain level of existence. And this classification limits your level of physical experience. See, I broke this down in my other video. A fish doesn't know what it's like to breathe oxygen outside of water. So its physical experience is limited, right? So when we're talking about beings, right? Your being, your state of being is predicated upon your form of genetic material and its reaction to sunlight. Because depending upon how much information you can unlock in your DNA will determine what kind of being you can become. And predicated upon what kind of being you can become determines what kind of experience your soul can have. So now why is this important? Every animal, insect, bug plays its part on this celestial planet in regards to the experience that they have. And each being's experience keeps this whole cycle of life moving. But we as African people have the most level of advanced genetic material, which means our experience is supposed to be the most advanced. But we having the most least physical experience because mentally we have been downgraded. So now we have negated the fact that we are in a vessel which allows us the realm of complete sensation. See, and I'm going to do a video on this next. Your experiences, whether they be psychic, with ghosts, whatever, in order for you to have a psychedelic experience, you have to be able to have a higher level of phenomena sensitivity than the average organism. And I'm going to go into the science of that next, so don't worry, family. I'm not going to leave y'all waiting. But the point I'm trying to make is, I want y'all to have it in y'all head. Every 90 degrees, okay, or every three zodiac signs, or 6,000 years approximately, the Earth takes on a new environment. Temperature-wise, geological-wise, you know, water shifts, different parts of the Earth become uncovered, Atlantis is coming back, Lemuria is coming back, certain parts of what we live on now is going to be covered, so the entire global map is going to change. The world is going to re-manifest itself to a totally new experience. Places you could walk, you won't be able to walk anymore. Hills may be lower, hills may be higher. Water may be lower, water may be higher. So everything is shifting, as well as your being is shifting, in order to be able to have a complete successful physical experience in this new environment. Period. In animals, insects, birds, okay, any classification of organism also makes this shift as long as they're natural. Plants, fruits, anything that's natural has a natural genetic encoding in it, which tells it what to do. Period. You don't tell a tree to grow. You hit a tree with some water, and it's already encoded in that tree to become a specific organism. So as light shifts, and we start downloading, because remember, we get information from the sun. You know how many stars it is? Each star is a sun. So just by you looking at a star, you're downloading information. Now, why is this important? Just like it's different teachers in different classrooms, each sun has a different level of intellect to give to you. So as we come into a new body of information, aka a new body of stars, aka a new body of suns, we begin to download and react genetically to new courses of information. So now, why is this important? Our level of perception and physical reality changes to that which is in favor of the source we're downloading our knowledge from. So our current sun right now says, be this way. Now it's heating up and it's giving out a different level of intellect that's saying, be this way. So your being is being alternated by that which creates physical existence. Period. The sun governs physical reality. If the sun vibrates between lower than 432 terahertz frequency, physical reality ceases to exist. So once the sun switches its vibration, that which it creates switches its vibration. Period. And if the sun didn't naturally create you, you can't make the switch. Your ass get plucked out. You go what is called extinct. So that being said, when you trace African people's genetic material, we can find Africans that are 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, 10 million, 20 million years old. You find the African bones next to dinosaur bones. But even though the genetic material matches, the biological and physiological structure of the organism is slightly different. They find in people with pineal glands the size of golf balls. Now our pineal glands is damn near pea size. You find the African people with longer arms. You're finding giants. You're finding small people, pygmy. You're finding all these different physiological structures of African people who have the same biology. Now, why is this important? Every tree is a tree, but every tree ain't the same tree. Apple tree, orange tree, maple tree, but yet they're all trees. Every African is an intergalactic melanated being, but we don't physiologically manifest ourselves the same way. You got tropical rainforests, you got all kind of different forests, okay? Trees don't grow the same in every forest because they're not exposed to the same amount of light, period. Flowers don't grow the same way in Alaska that they grow in goddamn Florida, okay? Ain't no palm trees in Alaska. There's palm trees in Florida because Florida is closer to a higher spectrum of light. So when we speaking about the Zodiac wheel, we bring it back to the natures, the 32 principalities, which is you, is eternal. And you take that with you every reincarnation cycle. But metamorphically, okay, and metaphysically, you metamorph into a new bio entity. So with that being said, you have to understand, every 90 degrees, we become a different intergalactic being, but yet you are still the same being. So when somebody say, oh, you got an old soul, you've been here before. You've been here before, but you've never been here in the form that you are here now. See? It's like cars. Chrysler. Yeah, you've been in a Chrysler, but you ain't never been in that 2020 Chrysler. You in the 2017 Chrysler. See, when you jump in that 2020 Chrysler, same brand, new ability. When you jump in this African, in this light spectrum, same genetic material, new ability. So, with that being said, family, understand the importance of claiming your intergalactic right to divinity. Because the universe is always offering to you your throne. You are the one refusing to sit on it. And with that being said, family, light is leading us to the promised land. Will you walk in the light, or will you be ignorantly acceptance of the darkness? And in this case, we know darkness doesn't mean evil, but for people who have been groomed to understand darkness to be associated with death and destruction, will you continue to exist within your own ignorance of your own self and the teachings that you have been manipulated through the use of your free will to accept as true from your enemy, who is the non-original entity who walks this planet and plagues the mind and consciousness of all organisms on this planet? And with that being said, family, continue to evolve, not outside yourself, but within yourself, because it's happening one way or another. You will either elevate and become fruitful within your soul, or you will go extinct within your own self. And with that being said, I love y'all. Peace.